So, what is wealth? When you hear the word wealth, what image pops into your mind? Is it a massive mansion sitting on a hill, or maybe it's a garage full of luxury vehicles? Or maybe it's just a big number. Yes, that number in your mind sitting in the bank account. Well, today we are going to challenge everything you think you know about wealth. I'm going to break down what wealth really means without any fancy jargon or misconceptions. And trust me, it might completely change how you think about money. So, what is wealth? In simple terms, wealth is ownership. Ownership of tangible and intangible assets. So this means things like owning properties, owning stocks, owning patents. So properties will be tangible assets, while things like patents will be intangible assets. And I did a video which I'll pop up on the screen, or you can find it in the description, where I listed 9 assets that the wealthy actually own. And I'll recommend that you actually watch that video, because it's going to give you an idea of what assets are and how you can build wealth. Now, if you have enough of these assets, you can be called wealth. From the definition, we see that wealth is actually not income, because this is the mistake a lot of people make. Wealth and income are not the same thing. I remember meeting a project manager in one of our coaching sessions, right, that we do at the Wealthy Post. This guy earns £80,000 in a year, but he was actually in more debt than the average person. And why is that? And it's simply because he spends every penny that he makes and then some more. How can you also define wealth? You can also define wealth at its basic level as what you keep and build over time. And I mean your income, that part of your income that you keep and build. Wealth is actually the difference between what you owe and also what you own. And that's how we calculate something called net worth. And this is one personal finance metric that every single one of us needs to always measure. And he also tells us how wealthy or not wealthy that we are. Let me break it down in simple terms, right? Assets are things that you own that has value. This could be your house, this could be your ISA investment account, your pension. This could even be something like maybe you have a vintage guitar that you can sell for a good sum. While liabilities are things that you owe, your debts, credit card, student loan, your mortgage, payday loan. You get the drift. You owe something is a liability. You own something that has value is an asset. Now the difference between these two numbers is your net worth, and this is actually your wealth. Come close. And the truth is, in most countries, wealth is actually concentrated among the richest people. And that's not a surprise, because they own all the things that we use, the companies that we buy stuff from, the land that we actually build our houses on. These guys actually own them. While the middle class, most of their wealth is usually in their home, if they do have a home, and their pension. And that's why on this channel we talk a lot about your investments, your pension, because that's one way of actually building wealth. And while the poor, the people that you could say are poor, they actually own nothing. So that means that there is a consistent flow of money from those people that actually don't have to those that have. Think about it. Those that don't have still need to spend money on things that they need to survive. And who owns those things? The mega wealthy, the rich as we know it. So these people, money, they're working, they have a job, and then they use it in order to survive, right? To buy things that the mega wealthy and the wealthy guys actually own. An example of this is rent payments. You don't own a home, but you're paying rent to a landlord. Another example is if you do own a home, but you have a mortgage, right? You're paying a loan repayment to the bank that is owned by someone. You get what I'm saying? Every single money flow moves from one person to the next. And in most cases, from the poor, the middle class, those that don't own so much wealth, to those that own so much. But it doesn't end there. There is also wealth in the form of natural resources, infrastructure. And you know, in the UK, it's not so common for the people to own natural resources. But if you look at a country as Norway, for example, they have something called the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And they've structured it in a way that the collective ownership of the natural resources is actually owned by the people. So profits from their oil is invested in that fund, and it benefits the entire population, the entire citizen of Norway. That's also another form of wealth. Earlier I mentioned if you own a mortgage, right, you're paying your mortgage payments as a loan repayment to the bank that is owned by someone. So debt is also another form of wealth, where every lender, they are owned by people, investors, shareholders, and so every loan that they do give out. I worked in the finance sector for a number of years. When you're looking at the books of the bank doesn't count loan as a liability. They count loans as assets. If you talk to the relationship managers, people that look at their books, they want to give out more loans. It's not because they see it as a good thing for you. It's because to them it's an asset. It's a source of income, because the money that they give out, they give it based on interest, and that comes back to them as an income. So if you look at that, you see that debt is like a two-faced coin, right? While for the consumer, it's actually a bad thing, especially those bad debts like credit cards, payday loan. On the other side of the coin, it's actually a good thing for someone else. It's an asset that we spoke about earlier. And there are other forms of wealth. Your stock market, which is what we preach on this channel a lot. Invest in stocks because it is an asset that you can own and start building your own wealth. There is also something called intangible wealth, and this is where it gets deeper. But it's very important that you actually also consider this, because not everything has to do with numbers on the spreadsheet. You know, some people has the ability to actually take the day off when you need it, that you don't have to go to work. You can take some time off. That's a form of wealth that some people don't have. You know, the freedom to actually do the work that you love, not just because you want to pay bills, right? And you do things that you're not happy with. That's a form of wealth. But there are also misconceptions about wealth. And it's also important that you know what wealth isn't. I've mentioned one earlier. Wealth is not income. You could have a high income but very poor wealth, or no wealth at all. You know, wealth is not flashy lifestyle. It's not buying the latest of everything, right? The truth is, many wealthy people actually live modest life. And you know, they understand that real wealth often grows quietly in investment accounts, in the background, in businesses that they own, properties that they own, and it's not necessarily parked in their driveway, right? That guy that you see that's mowing the lawn on a Tuesday morning might actually be more wealthy, you know, and that's one misconception about wealth. But let's bring it back to everyday life for you and me, right? What does this actually mean to me? What does this mean to you? How does wealth, or the lack of it, how does it impact you as a person? Think about your day-to-day expenses. Just take a moment to think about your rent or mortgage, stuff that you buy, things that you buy every day. You know, they all incorporate costs that is actually linked to wealth ownership. I mentioned earlier that money moves from one person to the other, and that's what constitutes wealth. So you have an income, but are you building wealth? That's the question I want us to take away. And this video, if it has not done anything, I want it to actually raise that awareness in your mind, because that's the key. Start thinking about who owns the assets that you rely on. Your home, who actually owns it? If you're renting, that's easy for you to answer. If you have a mortgage, the bank actually owns your home, or parts of it, as we would say. You know, your office, who owns it? That coffee shop that you like going to, who owns it? You need to start thinking that way. And once you have that, you need to look at your own balance sheet. That's the second part of the equation. You need to look at your own balance sheet. What do you own? Every year you need to ask yourself, what do you own? But also ask, what do you owe? Initially, we mentioned that the difference between these two gives you your net worth, and that shows an indicator of how well you're growing. You know, in the description, I've linked an easy investing ebook that I want every single one of you to download. If you're a new investor, you're trying to start investing, that book would help you. If you're a seasoned investor, the book would also help you. It's free. Download it, start building wealth, start buying assets, learn how to do these things, and start building wealth for yourself. And finally, community conversations actually matter. Who are you talking to? Are you guys just talking about what to owe, how to spend. I'm not talking about assets that you need to invest in, right? Share this video with your loved one. This is one way to actually start changing and reframing the discussions in your community. You don't just want to be that one person in your community that is doing well. We want everyone in this community, and actually that's what actually started this channel, right? I want everyone in our community to grow together, not just one or two people, but all of us. But it all starts with awareness, which I hope is what this video has done for you. So let's bring it all together. Wealth isn't just about having money pass through your hands, which is your income, right? It's about keeping a part of that money and actually growing it. It's about using that money to buy assets that you can then use to create wealth, freedom. Wealth is also the difference between what you owe and what you own. And most importantly, wealth is about options, giving yourself options. It's about the peace of mind that comes with having your finances in place. And I'm curious, how do you define wealth? I would like you to comment below and let me know what wealth means to you as a person. And if you found this helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more things like this. We give simple explanation, we talk about concepts, and we also show you how to invest and how to build wealth and build assets and buy assets for yourself. So until next time, take care of yourself.